Ghosts and shadows. One ghost. One queen. No mercy. Chapter 1. Ghosts come out of hiding. Ashwari Montgomery scribbled something onto the napkin with a hand that looked steady, though her pulse hammered like a warning drum beneath her skin. She picked up the tray, forced her breathing slow, and drifted toward the table like nothing in the world could shake her. She leaned in, just enough, and let the napkin slip into the woman's lap. Then she swept the empty plates and glasses onto the tray and walked away without a single glance back. No eye contact. No hesitation. No trace. The cool night air hit her face when she slipped out the back door, the sudden chill slicing through her nerves. Her heart was thundering so hard she could feel it in her throat. She didn't stop. She didn't look back. She vanished into the dark like she'd never been there. Alessandra Ciccone felt the whisper of contact as the napkin dropped onto her lap. Her brows drew together for half a second, curiosity flickering across features usually carved from marble, and she looked up just in time to see the woman disappearing through the kitchen doors. She lifted the napkin. For words stared back at her, sharp and clean. "You are being watched." Her chair shifted as she prepared to stand, instinct already in motion, but the meaning hit first. She waited precisely one breath before turning her head, slow and calculated. She spotted them instantly. 2 bald men, 3 tables away. Rigid. Too still. Trying far too hard to appear casual. Her gaze flicked to her bodyguard. A single nod. That was enough. Chaos bloomed. Chairs crashed. The 2 men were on the floor before they could even think about reaching for their weapons. Alessandra stood, smoothing her tailored suit with elegant precision, her expression carved from ice. Then she turned toward the kitchen doors, and with the slightest tilt of her head, delivered the silent order. "Find her." Ashwari moved through the night like a ghost, trying not to remember it had once been human. She reached her motel room and shut the door harder than she meant to. The sound echoed through the dim space. "Jesus, Ashwari, what the fuck?" she muttered, the words falling heavy. Her jacket landed on the chair. She paced, restless, wired, hating the adrenaline spiking through her veins. She yanked the curtains tighter and instinctively checked the gun tucked into the back of her jeans. Clip loaded. Safety off. Her kind of comfort. She sat at the edge of the bed, elbows on her knees, trying to breathe through the storm inside her. She'd made a promise to herself, no unnecessary chaos, no contact, no entanglements. She vanished for a reason. And tonight she had broken every rule she built to stay alive. The panic returned like an old lover. She stood abruptly, grabbed her backpack, and began stuffing her life into it, clothes, burner phone, passport. She could be out in 15 minutes. 10 if she didn't think too hard. She froze at the sound. A knock. Soft, but certain. Her hand wrapped around the gun before she even realized she'd moved. She crept to the door, every step silent, every muscle ready. She peered through the peephole, and her heart dropped into her stomach. Alessandra Ciccone. Standing inches away. "No, no, no," Ashwari breathed. The second knock was louder. Her options evaporated. She slipped the gun behind her back and opened the door. Alessandra entered like a storm that decided the room now belonged to her. She walked to the center, turned slowly, and studied Ashwari with a gaze that stripped more than clothing. Her silence was loud, deliberate. Only then did she move toward the bed. Her eyes flicked to the half-packed backpack. "You running again, Miss Montgomery?" she asked, voice low, dangerous, calm, the worst combination. Ashwari closed the door behind her and leaned against it, searching for words she didn't want to say. She shoved the gun back into her waistband and approached the bed. She grabbed a hoodie, shoved it into the bag, zipped it, slung it over her shoulder. "I shouldn't have done that," she murmured, half to herself, half to the universe. She turned. But Alessandra's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Ghosts aren't supposed to warn people they're running from." Ashwari stopped. "Let's just forget it, Ciccone," she said without looking at her. Forget it ever happened. She didn't make it 2 steps before Alessandra moved. 1 second, she was across the room, the next she was blocking the door, the temperature seeming to drop 5 degrees around her. "How did you know?" Alessandra asked quietly. Too quietly. Ashwari exhaled sharply, dropped the backpack on the floor, and leaned against the wall like it might keep her from unraveling. They looked out of place. Too rigid. Their body language was wrong. Like they were trying too hard to blend in. Alessandra studied her, letting the silence stretch until it felt like a trap. Then she dropped the question that hit Ashwari straight in the ribs. "You broke cover to protect me. Why?" Ashwari's pulse spiked. Her hand trembled, just barely, and Alessandra noticed. Of course she did. Alessandra Ciccone never missed anything. "You saw something my bodyguards didn't," Alessandra continued, voice soft, poised, deadly. "And I want to know how." Chapter 2. When the past refuses to stay dead. The night didn't let them breathe. Ashwari stood against the wall, the echo of Alessandra's question still hanging between them like smoke neither wanted to inhale. The room felt smaller now, shadows clinging to the corners, waiting. Watching. Alessandra's gaze was unblinking. Too perceptive. Too steady. Ashwari hated how it made her chest tighten. She grabbed her backpack from the floor, slung it onto her shoulder again. "Look, Ciccone. You got your answer. I saw something your men didn't. Lucky timing. Wrong place, wrong time. That's it." Alessandra didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't buy a single word. "You were already watching them before you even approached my table," Alessandra said calmly. "You recognize them." Her pulse kicked. Hard. She kept her expression blank. Neutral. But Alessandra was reading her like a confession. The silence cracked before Ashwari could patch it. A sharp pop outside, the unmistakable sound of a suppressed shot. Ashwari grabbed Alessandra around the waist and threw both of them to the floor just as a bullet punched a black crater through the motel window, shattering the glass into a rainstorm of glittering shards. "Down!" Ashwari barked. Alessandra obeyed without argument, which somehow terrified Ashwari even more. She crawled toward the overturned nightstand and pulled Alessandra with her, shielding her with her own body as a second round sliced through the curtain, embedding itself in the wall inches above their heads. "Your people found me faster than expected," Alessandra murmured, half a joke, half a test. "That's not your people," Ashwari growled. "Your men don't use subsonics." Another shot cracked. This one closer. Too close. Ashwari reached for the gun in her waistband, flicked off the safety, and risked a peek through the shattered frame. A black SUV. Engine running. Rear door open. And a silhouette with a rifle, perched on the hood like a vulture. Her old organization's calling card. Her mind went cold. Her blood went hot. They found her. They were here. And worse, they were here for Alessandra, not her. Ashwari grabbed Alessandra's wrist. "We need to move. Now." "Where?" "No questions." Her voice slipped into command before she could help it. "Stay low. Stay right behind me." Alessandra didn't argue. She studied Ashwari's face as though she could feel the shift in the air, the lethal focus settling over her like armor. Ashwari kicked open the bathroom door, scanning clear. She pulled Alessandra inside and shut the door silently. "Is this your old team?" Alessandra asked, voice low. "It's a splinter. A cleanup unit." Ashwari's jaw clenched. "They're not here to capture. They're here to end loose ends." "And I'm a loose end now?" Ashwari didn't look at her when she answered. "You were the moment I warned you." The admission landed like a weight between them, heavy and irreversible. Alessandra inhaled sharply, not fear, something else. Something that made Ashwari's chest tighten in ways she didn't want to examine. A crash from the other room cut the moment short. "Heavy boots?" "2 sets." "Move," Ashwari whispered. She unlocked the small, grimy bathroom window and shoved it open. Cold night air rushed in. "You first," she said. Alessandra hesitated, the first hesitation Ashwari had ever seen from her. "You trust this route?" "I trust getting you out alive," Ashwari snapped. "Now go." Alessandra held her gaze for a heartbeat that burned far too long, then she climbed through the window, dropping silently into the alley behind the motel. Ashwari followed, landing beside her with her gun already raised. Run, she whispered. They sprinted through the alley, shadows stretching, adrenaline pounding. Behind them, a voice barked orders, too close. Ashwari grabbed Alessandra's hand, not out of softness, but necessity, and dragged her through the maze of back streets. Alessandra didn't slow her down once. At the mouth of a narrow alley, Ashwari pressed a hand to Alessandra's shoulder and pulled her behind a dumpster. Stay here. No. Ashwari's head snapped toward her. I said. You said they're here for me, Alessandra murmured, eyes steady. So, I'm not hiding behind metal trash while you play martyr. Ashwari cursed under her breath. You have no idea what's chasing us. Then enlighten me. Boots echoed closer. Ashwari leaned in, her breath brushing Alessandra's ear. They trained me, she whispered. Then they tried to erase me. Alessandra's eyes darkened, not with fear. With fury. Ashwari pulled back just as the first soldier rounded the corner. She lifted her gun. Stay behind me, she said, voice steady as a heartbeat she no longer trusted. And Alessandra, deadly calm, whispered, only if you come back alive. Chapter 3. The moment the line blurs. The alley swallowed the world in darkness, thick and silent except for the echo of boots getting closer. Ashwari steadied her gun, her entire body snapping into that old, terrifying precision she'd sworn she'd buried. Alessandra stood just behind her shoulder. Close enough that Ashwari could feel her breath. Close enough to be a distraction she could not afford. The soldier rounded the corner. Ashwari didn't hesitate. 2 shots, clean, quiet, final. The man dropped. For a heartbeat, the world held still. Then Alessandra exhaled, a thread of sound she'd held trapped in her chest. Ashwari, she whispered, not quite question, not quite prayer. Move, Ashwari answered instead. They ran again, weaving through alleys until the sounds of pursuit thinned, then faded. Ashwari slowed only when the city swallowed them, tall buildings, neon reflections, the low hum of nightlife. Normalcy. Innocence. A world that had no idea 2 killers had sprinted through its lungs. She ducked them into a narrow service stairwell behind a closed cafe. It smelled of metal and old coffee and safety that wouldn't last. Sit, Ashwari instructed. Alessandra didn't. She stepped closer, her eyes catching the dim light like polished obsidian. You killed without hesitation, she said softly. Like you've been waiting to breathe. Ashwari's jaw tightened. Don't analyze me right now. Too late. It's how I survive. Survival, Ashwari murmured, turning away, is something you don't need to worry about if you just listen to me. And blindly obey? Alessandra's voice was velvet, stretched over steel. That's not something I do. Ashwari finally turned to face her and regretted it instantly. Alessandra's suit was torn at the shoulder, revealing a faint scrape of skin. Her hair was loose, the sleek Saucony control shaken. Her eyes were bright with something sharp, something fierce. Something that made Ashwari forget how to speak. You're hurt, Ashwari whispered. It's nothing. Ashwari reached without thinking, fingers brushing the bare skin. Alessandra inhaled, slow, quiet, dangerous. Their eyes locked. The air changed. Gravity tilted. Ashwari jerked her hand back like she'd touched fire. We need to keep moving, she said quickly, voice rougher than she liked. But Alessandra stepped closer, refusing to give the moment back. You said those men were a cleanup unit, she murmured. Your people. Not mine. Not mine anymore. But they still follow protocol, you know, Alessandra said. Which means you know how they think. Ashwari flinched at the reminder of the ghost she used to be. Alessandra saw it, and her voice softened, for the first time. You saved my life tonight, she said. You didn't have to. You could have left me in that restaurant and vanished. But you didn't. I should have, Ashwari said quietly. But you couldn't. Ashwari swallowed the truth, but Alessandra stepped into the silence, filling it with something raw and unguarded. What the fuck they want with me, Ashwari? Ashwari closed her eyes for a second, the truth heavy on her tongue. They want leverage. They want power. And you. She opened her eyes and met Alessandra's gaze dead on. You're the pressure point of an empire. Alessandra absorbed that, no flinch, no shock, just a slow sharpening of her expression. Then the question is simple, she said. What? Ashwari asked. Are you protecting me because it's strategic, or because you care? The words hit Ashwari harder than any bullet. She stepped back. This is not the time. It's exactly the time. Alessandra followed her step for step. You break cover for me. You kill for me. You run with me. You. Stop. Ashwari's voice cracked like a whip. The stairwell went still. Ashwari's hands trembled barely, but enough. Enough for Alessandra to see it. Enough to tilt her head, eyes glinting like she'd found the fracture. You feel something, Alessandra whispered. Whether you want to admit it or not. Ashwari pressed a hand against the wall, grounding herself. I can't afford feelings. They get people killed. People like me? People like anyone near me. Alessandra stepped closer until there was no space left, only heat and the sound of their breaths colliding. You warned me anyway, she said. That wasn't indifference, Ashwari. That was instinct. And instinct doesn't lie. Ashwari shook her head. You don't understand what I am. Then help me understand. Boots echoed distantly in the alley outside. Both women turned toward the sound, but neither stepped away from the closeness they'd fallen into. Ashwari exhaled, defeated by truth. They'll keep coming, she said. Until they take you, or take me. So, we don't let them. Ashwari looked at her, really looked, and something inside her chest shifted, dangerously, beautifully. Alessandra. Yes. You need to give me something. Alessandra raised a brow. What? Trust. A slow, wicked, impossibly soft smile curved Alessandra's mouth. You already have it, she whispered. Another echo of boots. Closer. Ashwari grabbed Alessandra's hand. Then stay with me, Ashwari said. And don't look back. Alessandra squeezed her hand once, firm, confident, absolute. Lead the way, ghost. And together, they disappeared into the night. Chapter 4. The Hunt Tightens. The night was a labyrinth of shadows and electric hum, streetlights flickering like dying stars, alleys curling like hungry serpents. Ashwari dragged Alessandra through them with a grip that felt carved from urgency and fear and something else she refused to name. Their footsteps splashed through puddles reflecting neon signs, their breaths mingling in sharp clouds of adrenaline. Ashwari, wait, Alessandra gasped. No. Ashwari didn't let go. If we stop, even for a second, they'll box us in. And if we run blindly, we walk into a trap. Ashwari halted so abruptly Alessandra nearly collided with her. She spun, pressed Alessandra against the cold brick wall, her chest rising and falling like a storm trapped in ribs. Alessandra, she said, voice low, hard, trembling at the edges. My ex-unit does not make mistakes. If they tracked us this fast, it means they're close. Too close. Alessandra lifted her chin, defiant even with danger breathing down her neck. Then tell me their pattern, she said. Tell me what you're not saying. Ashwari hesitated. That hesitation was all Alessandra needed. You know why they want me. Not a question. A verdict. Ashwari's eyes flashed. It's not what you think. No? I'm the Ciccone heir. I'm leverage. I'm power. And you. Her gaze softened just a fraction. You're the ghost who walked into a restaurant and chose me. Ashwari's breath stuttered. Just once. Just enough. But there wasn't time to unravel that thread. A metallic click echoed down the alley. Sniper bolt. Ashwari's instincts detonated. She threw Alessandra to the ground and covered her with her own body just as a bullet sliced the air where Alessandra's skull had been. Move. Ashwari barked. They rolled behind a dumpster, Alessandra coughing on cold air. Ashwari peeked out, one sniper on the roof, another silhouette moving along the fire escape. Recon protocol. Flank and pinch. Her old unit protocol. Of course. Alessandra's hand brushed Ashwari's thigh, a grounding gesture, not sexual, not romantic, but somehow more intimate than either. What do we do? She whispered. Ashwari's mind snapped into lethal clarity. We split, she said. The hell we do. Ashwari grabbed her face, forcing her to listen. They want me more than they want you. I'll draw them away. You head for the West Pier. I'll find you. Alessandra stared at her like she'd lost her mind. You expect me to run while you get hunted? Do you think I'm Alessandra? Her voice cracked with something dangerous and real. You're the only leverage they have left over me. I can't. A second bullet shrieked past, ricocheting off metal. Go! Ashwari shouted. Alessandra didn't move. For a split second, a single, fragile second, they just looked at each other. A look thick enough to rewrite decisions, thick enough to break rules, thick enough to slow the world. Then Alessandra whispered, "Don't you dare die on me, Ghost." Ashwari's smile was grim, crooked, heartbreaking. I wasn't planning to. They broke apart. Ashwari bolted down the alley, firing at the moving silhouette. The unit pivoted instantly toward her, predictable, precise, relentless. Alessandra ran the opposite way, her hair flying behind her like a dark banner of defiance. Ashwari didn't look back. She couldn't. Not if she wanted Alessandra to reach the pier alive. Shots exploded from rooftops. Boots pounded behind her like thunder. Her lungs burned, but her instincts roared. Fine. If they wanted the ghost, she'd give them the ghost. She slid behind a parked van, stripped the silencer, flipped her grip, and dismantled her gun with the speed of muscle memory she wished she'd forgotten. One last dance, she whispered. Then she set the trap. Footsteps approached, heavy, tactical, confident. Ashwari rose from behind the vehicle, eyes cold, stance flawless. "Hello, boys," she said. "Miss me?" 3 red laser dots snapped onto her chest. Her smile sharpened. "Come then." And she ran into the dark. Meanwhile, Alessandra skidded around a corner, breath sharp, heels clicking on concrete like war drums. She clutched the phone Ashwari shoved into her hand. GPS ping, West Pier, Safe House 03. Her chest tightened. She didn't know what terrified her more, the killers on her heels, or the idea that Ashwari might not make it out of that alley in one piece. She whispered into the night. "Come back to me, Ghost." Not a command. Not an order. A promise. Chapter 5, Reunion at the Pier. Ashwari landed silently on the pier, boots kissing the wooden planks with the precision only a ghost could master. The moon painted the water silver, the smell of salt and oil thick in the air. A figure waited at the end of the pier. Alessandra. Leaning against a crate, eyes scanning, every muscle taut. Finally, Alessandra whispered, voice low, but carrying something warmer than Ashwari expected. Relief? Anger? Both. Ashwari stepped closer, keeping her tone even. Would have been late otherwise. Alessandra's lips curved a half smile, half smirk. You always are. They studied each other in silence, years of danger and skill woven into those minutes. No words could capture it. Then Alessandra's gaze sharpened. They'll come back. They always do. Ashwari nodded. Then we'll be ready. Together. And so they did. 6 months of shadows and strategy. For the next half year, Ashwari and Alessandra became a force. Safe houses dotted across the city, each more secure than the last. Operatives recruited, trained, and loyal. A network built from whispers, favors, and shared secrets. Surveillance rigs, encrypted channels, dead-drop systems, everything a ghost would craft to vanish and strike. Every mission executed with precision, each night ending with Alessandra and Ashwari planning the next move, sometimes over maps, sometimes over coffee, sometimes in silence, their proximity electric and dangerous. The bond between them strengthened. Alessandra trusted Ashwari in ways no one else had ever reached. And Ashwari, she found herself letting walls slip, if only slightly, when Alessandra was near. Their network was a spiderweb, invisible yet lethal. Alessandra was no longer just a mark to protect. She was a partner, a strategist, a presence Ashwari could never fully leave behind. And Ashwari, the ghost, the sniper, the one who disappeared, had finally found someone she would fight to the end for. But fate and enemies never stayed asleep for long. Mission 1, the warehouse extraction. Ashwari perched on the rooftop, eyes scanning the target, a heavily guarded warehouse near the docks. Alessandra crouched behind her, tracing the layout on a digital tablet. 3 guards at the main entrance, Alessandra whispered. 2 patrolling the perimeter, motion sensors along the north wall. We need Clean in and out. Ashwari smirked under the hood. Clean is my middle name. Moments later, shadows moved like ghosts. Ashwari disabled the perimeter cameras with a pulse device she'd crafted herself. Alessandra took point on the entry, silently neutralizing the first 2 guards with precision strikes. Inside, crates stacked high-hid sensitive data. Ashwari found the target, a flash drive with intel that could dismantle a rival operation. Extraction was perfect. No alarms, no deaths except the ones already neutralized, no traces left behind. At the end, Alessandra touched Ashwari's arm briefly, a spark of recognition passing between them. No words needed. Mission accomplished, bond reinforced. Mission 2, the high-rise sabotage. 2 months later, the target was a corporate skyscraper, fronting as a legitimate tech company, secretly laundering weapons. Ashwari scaled the building exterior at night, using suction pads and rope lines, while Alessandra controlled the security grid remotely. Inside, Ashwari planted discreet explosives, set to disable the server room without harming innocent staff. Alessandra's voice, calm through the earpiece, guided her perfectly. 5 seconds left. Now. The building went dark, servers fried, and the operation wiped the rival network clean. They met in the shadows outside, adrenaline buzzing through both. Alessandra laughed softly, the sound rare and dangerous in its rarity. You still think disappearing is an option? Ashwari shook her head. Not when you're around. And for a fleeting moment, the world felt like it belonged just to them, dangerous, chaotic, beautiful. During these missions, subtle threats surface, unknown operatives observing them, encrypted messages that vanish as quickly as they appear, shadows that linger too long. Alessandra begins to rely on Ashwari not just for tactical support, but for instinctual guidance, their partnership deepening beyond professionalism. Ashwari lets herself slip closer than usual, touches linger, glances are shared, yet she still remains the ghost, always calculating, always aware danger could strike at any second. By the end of these missions, the tension is thick. The duo is unstoppable, but the seeds of Alessandra's eventual capture are quietly sown. Someone knows them, and someone is waiting. Chapter 6. Shadows in the Network. The penthouse was quiet. Too quiet. Alessandra had left for a briefing with her team, leaving Ashwari alone with monitors, encrypted messages, and a gnawing sense of wrongness. Ashwari sat back, hands steepled, eyes scanning the latest intercepted comms. Her instincts, honed from years of disappearing into the deadliest corners of the world, screamed that something wasn't right. Then she found it. A file buried in layers of encryption, misnamed, almost invisible, Operation Ciccone. She opened it. Blueprints of Alessandra's office. Security rotations. Notes on her father's routines. And a single line that made her blood run cold. Priority target, Alessandra Ciccone. Capture alive. Avoid casualties if possible. Secure father for leverage. Ashwari's pulse spiked. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, hesitant. She couldn't believe it. Not fully. It could be a trap, a diversion, or worse, the truth. She closed the file and leaned back. If this is real, they're closer than I thought. Her mind raced, assembling pieces like a puzzle only she could see. The target wasn't just Alessandra. It was her entire family network. Someone had inside knowledge. Someone knew their operations. Ashwari knew she couldn't tell Alessandra yet. Panic could compromise everything. She had to be sure. Over the next days, she worked alone. Tracking communication patterns, following encrypted signals through dead drops and burner phones. Observing shadows outside Alessandra's offices, counting cars, memorizing guard shifts. Following a trail of financial transactions and subtle threats whispered in online forums. Each clue tightened the noose. Each discovery whispered a single truth. Someone inside knew exactly how to strike. Ashwari's apartment became a war room. Maps pinned to walls, surveillance footage looping, digital readouts glowing in the dark. She voiced each move quietly, like a ghost leaving notes behind. 3 vehicles leave the garage at 1800 hours. 2 of them return at 1902. Security rotations change every 45 minutes. They've found a pattern. They think it's secure. It's not. A muffled sigh. If I tell her now, she'll panic. If I wait, we could be too late. But I have to know. I have to trace the snake to its hole. Hours bled into nights. Ashwari traced the digital footprints like a predator circling its prey, every step more dangerous than the last. And then she found the final link, a single encrypted message, timestamped for the following week. Sikoni Air, extraction confirmed. Move to containment. Operation complete by Friday 2200. Ashwari's hands curled into fists. Her heart thundered. It was real. Alessandra was in imminent danger. She exhaled slowly, forcing her mind to focus. The game had changed. The ghost was no longer just watching. She had to act. Ashwari paused, looking at the camera feed of Alessandra walking through the office lobby. The woman was brilliant, untouchable in her own right, but right now, she was vulnerable. The ghost whispered into the darkness. I won't let them take you. Not now. Not ever. And with that, Ashwari's hunt began, silent, calculated, merciless. Chapter 7. Shadows and Whispers. The rooftop was cold, wind whipping around them, carrying the faint smell of rain from the distant city. Ashwari had her sniper rifle set, scanning the streets below, while Alessandra crouched beside the digital map, tapping through feeds of the surrounding buildings. Hours had passed in silence, broken only by quiet whispers and the occasional alert. You're tense, Alessandra murmured, eyes flicking toward Ashwari's clenched jaw. Ashwari didn't look up. You want me to be relaxed? Her voice was low, almost a growl. Someone's always planning to take this away. That's tense enough. Alessandra's lips curved in a smirk. You worry too much. You don't understand, Ashwari said, finally lowering the rifle, letting it rest against her knees. If they succeed, I'll never forgive myself. Alessandra reached out, her hand brushing Ashwari's. Just a touch, brief, electric. Ashwari's chest tightened at the contact. You won't have to, Alessandra said softly, eyes locking with hers. Because I trust you. The world shrank. The city lights faded. The alarms, the messages, the danger, everything condensed into that single moment, that single heartbeat shared between them. Ashwari leaned closer, just enough that their foreheads almost touched. Her voice was a whisper, carried by the wind. You have no idea how much I've wanted this, just to be here, with you, without everything exploding around us. Alessandra's hand slid up Ashwari's arm, warm and insistent. Then don't think about the chaos. Just be here with me. Their lips met, a careful, slow press, a spark in the darkness. Not hungry, not desperate, but aware, controlled, dangerous in its intensity. Ashwari's hands found Alessandra's waist, steadying her, anchoring herself against the pull of emotions she'd tried so hard to deny. For a few fleeting moments, the city, the threats, the networks of spies and assassins, none of it mattered. There was only this. Only them. The wind carried whispers of future battles, but for now, Ashwari allowed herself to linger in the warmth, in the closeness, letting the intimacy bloom like a flame in the cold night. Hours later, the city still hummed below them. Ashwari and Alessandra returned to their positions, fingers brushing occasionally, eyes meeting with silent promises. They were partners. They were a force. And in that fragile, fleeting night, they were something more. Chapter 8. The Night the Shadows Turned. Dawn hadn't broken yet, but the city had that strange silence it only gets just before sunrise, an inhale held too long. Ashwari and Alessandra were still riding the afterglow of the surveillance night. Quiet glances, subtle touches, the air between them threaded with something neither dared name aloud. They were back in Alessandra's penthouse, reviewing the encrypted files Ashwari had recovered. A storm was building, everywhere. Ash, Alessandra said, rubbing her eyes, let's take a break. Just 5 minutes. Ashwari nodded. Yeah, 5 minutes. They both stood, stretching, muscles aching from too many nights without rest. Then the building lights flickered. Just once. Just long enough for Ashwary's instincts to roar awake. Alas. Before she could finish, the penthouse doors blew open. A blast of air, a flash of light, a hiss of smoke, grenades rolling across marble. Ashwary shoved Alessandra behind her. Stay low. But the gas was fast. Too fast. Engineered. Targeted. Ashwary pulled her shirt over her mouth, eyes watering, vision swimming. She fired 2 clean shots into the fog, bodies dropped, but more shadows swarmed through. Alessandra choked, reaching for Ashwary. I can't. Alessandra. Ashwary lunged for her. A sharp sting hit Ashwary's shoulder. A tranquilizer dart. She ripped it out, snarling, firing blind through the smoke. Another dart hit her thigh. Her vision swayed, doubled. Her body felt like wet sand. Alessandra's silhouette flickered in the haze, her voice panicked and distant. Ash! Don't. Stay with me. Then Ashwary saw it. A figure behind Alessandra. A flash of a gloved hand. A cloth pressed to her mouth. Alessandra's eyes widening with terror just before she went limp. No, no. Ashwary roared, crawling, dragging herself across the floor. But the smoke swallowed Alessandra whole. Boots thundered around Ashwary. Someone grabbed her by the collar. Her head hit the ground hard. Darkness swallowed her too. Chapter 9. Alessandra wakes in the belly of the beast. Cold. That was the first thing she felt. Not the kind of cold that runs across skin, the kind that settles, heavy and ancient, beneath the ribs. Alessandra's eyelids fluttered, vision swimming into focus. Stone walls. Concrete floor. A single hanging light bulb buzzing like an angry insect. Her wrists were bound to a metal chair. Ankles too. She tested them, no give. A bunker. Deep underground. She exhaled slowly. So, this is how my day starts. Footsteps echoed. One pair. Confident. Slow. Intentional. A silhouette emerged from the shadows. Olive skin. Sharp jaw. Familiar eyes. Cassandra. Alessandra's voice cracked in disbelief. Her cousin stepped into the light, smiling like a knife with lipstick. Hello, Alessandra. Alessandra's pulse hammered. You. Her voice shook from rage, not fear. You orchestrated the attack on my penthouse? Cassandra shrugged lightly, as if discussing whether. You've been getting in the way. Too much power, too much influence. Father wanted balance. I wanted opportunity. Alessandra's jaw clenched. Where is Ashwary? Oh, Cassandra purred, the infamous ghost you've been keeping so close. Jealousy dripped in her tone like venom. She's alive. For now. But she wasn't the target. Cassandra leaned in, her breath cold against Alessandra's cheek. You were. Alessandra's eyes burned with fury. You have no idea what you've started. Cassandra smirked and stepped back. Oh, but I do. And by the time your ghost gets here. She tapped Alessandra's cheek twice, mockingly. It will be far too late. The door slammed shut. Alessandra squeezed her fists, bound but defiant, whispering into the empty room. Ash, hurry. Chapter 8. The Pattern in the Blood. The warehouse is still warm with the ghosts of gunfire when Ashwary snaps awake on the cracked office floor. Her pulse is a thunderstorm in her throat. The world comes back in fractured pieces, dust, silence, the taste of copper, and the absence. Alessandra. Gone. Only a single chair remains upright, swaying slightly as if mocking her. Ashwary is on her feet instantly, moving through the wreckage with the precision of someone who refuses to break. She finds tracks, boot prints, drag marks, the faint scent of the tranquilizer they used on Alessandra. She follows the trail through the back alley, into the maze of the docks, always arriving seconds after the vehicles pull away. A door still swinging. A cigarette still smoking. A camera still warm. Always just too late. Hours bleed into each other. Her body aches. Her mind sharpens. They're moving Alessandra in a pattern, not random, not chaotic, methodical. When the last trace goes cold, she forces herself to breathe. To see. To think. She spreads the evidence across the pier floor, the map, the timestamps, the stolen cam shots, the residue samples. And suddenly the truth slams into her like a blade between the ribs. These routes aren't cartel. Not militia. Not independent contractors. Only one organization moves this clean, this quiet, this perfectly synchronized. Her old one. The one she walked away from. A ghost of a smile touches her lips, bitter, sharp. Of course it's them. But something is off. The style is the same, but the execution, too reckless. Too bold. Too hungry. New blood. And that's when she finds the chemical trace on one of the shell casings, a thin sheen of iridescence only visible under certain light. She drags her thumb over it. Enhancement compound, she murmurs. A prototype. One she saw only once, in a locked lab she wasn't meant to enter. They're using it now. On recruits. On kids who don't know what it's doing to their minds. Her jaw clenches. Her veins go cold. This isn't just a capture. This is a message. And the message is personal. Because the only person who knew how to lure Alessandra away from her father's secure lines is the same person who once begged Ashwari to stay. Ash lifts her head to the night sky, a storm brewing in her eyes. Hold on, Alessandra, she whispers. I'm coming. And I'm bringing hell with me. Chapter 9, The Ghost Who Should Have Stayed Dead. Ashwari stares at the pattern carved across her map, and the truth slinks out of the shadows like a serpent she thought she'd already decapitated. There is only one person who operated with this level of obsession. One commander who shaped children into weapons. One monster she'd sworn she'd killed. Orion Vale. A name that tastes like iron and old nightmares on her tongue. He was her mentor once, brilliant, brutal, a visionary soaked in blood until she buried a blade in his spine and left him in a burning compound. Or so she believed. Now he's back, resurrected in the dark, armed with a new army of chemically enhanced child soldiers, and this time, he's not building a unit. He's building a generation. A generation that can't question him. A generation that won't feel fear. A generation he can throw at any empire he wants to topple. And Alessandra? She's not just a hostage. She's leverage, bait, revenge wrapped in silk and fire. Ashwari wipes her mouth, steadying her breath. Her old methods, stealth, precision, clean kills, will not work here. Not against a man who taught her how to disappear. Not against an army of children turned into volatile weapons. She needs a team. Her team. Her family of blades and ghosts. The ones who once followed her into hell without question. But they're scattered now, hiding in their own corners of the world. Naira, the sniper who sees through lies and fog like glass. Harlan, the demolitions artist with a laugh that terrifies mercenaries. Suri, the medic who can kill with a flick of her wrist and save with the same hand. Cross, the hacker who treats firewalls like toys and governments like puzzles. Reaching them will be its own gauntlet. Convincing them to come back? Even harder. Because they left the life behind for a reason. Because they walked away when she did, each one carrying scars her leadership once couldn't fix. Ashwari stands on the empty pier with the wind slapping salt against her cheeks. Her heart aches, but it stands. It burns. Orion, she murmurs, a blade forming in her voice. You should have fucking stayed dead. Then she turns toward the night, her steps relentless. She will find her team. She will gather her ghosts. And together, they will put Orion Vale into the ground, properly, permanently, poetically. For Alessandra. For the children. For the war she never wanted, but will finish. Chapter 10, The First Flame Rekindled. Ashwari moves through the neon-soaked alleyways of Marseille like a shadow that remembered it once had claws. Finding her old team isn't about tracking, it's about remembering. They were all creatures of pattern and silence, and she trained with them long enough to know their footprints even after years apart. She starts with the easiest one. Naira Voss. Sniper. Ghost-eyed. Deadly at 2 km plus. Impossible to sneak up on unless you're Ashwari. Rumor places Naira in an abandoned lighthouse-turned-observation post on the outskirts of town. Ash climbs the rusted stairwell, every step echoing with memories of missions that smelled like cold metal and adrenaline. She reaches the final landing. A rifle barrel presses gently against the base of her skull. 3 years, Naira murmurs. You finally show up. I thought you died. Ash smirks. I tried. Didn't take. A pause. A shift. A breath that means Naira is lowering her weapon, but not her guard. What do you want, Ash? She doesn't bother dressing it up. Doesn't beg. Doesn't soften. Just one name. One bullet of truth. Orion Vale. Naira's entire body goes still, not with fear, but with something colder, respect for the threat and a hatred deeper than bone. That bastard's alive, she whispers. Ash nods. He has someone I care about. He's using enhanced kids as soldiers. He's building something monstrous. Naira's jaw tightens. Her voice is razor thin. Then you didn't need to track me this far. You could have just sent a whisper. A beat. I'm in. Ash hands her a folded slip of paper, bank details, numbers big enough to buy silence for a lifetime. Naira flicks it open, snorts softly. You always did pay well, she says. Then, with a rare smirk, and hell, if this goes sideways, at least I'll die comfortable. One down. She heads next for Harlan Briggs, last spotted in a Mongolian outpost where the wind never rests and neither does a man with a taste for explosions. His bar is underground, literally, and the moment Ash steps into the haze of cheap liquor and harsh music, a massive hand slams her into the wall. Tell me why I shouldn't snap your neck, Ash. She meets his eyes, steady, unflinching. One name. She forced it out. Orion Vale. Harlan's grip loosens. His breathing turns violent. He lets her go like she's suddenly radioactive. That son of a, he wipes his mouth. All right. I'm in. But I want double the old rate. Ash hands him the second slip. He whistles low. Damn, Ash. You building an army or buying a country? Whichever gets me to her alive, she replies. Harlan grins, wide, wolfish. Good. I was getting bored anyway. 2 down. Across the world. Suri was hiding in a jungle clinic where gunfire is louder than prayers. Cross was buried inside a fortified digital bunker in Tokyo, rewriting the internet under a dozen aliases. Each one reacts the same way. Ash barely finishes the name, Orion Vale, before they're already packing. Money sweetens the deal. But that name? That's the real currency. Because Orion didn't just train them. He damaged them. He broke something sacred. And if Ash is going after him, they will not let her go alone. By dawn, the team is formed. 5 ghosts reborn. 5 blades sharpened. 5 debts ready to be paid in blood. And Ashwari stands at the center, the storm that called them home. Let's bring her back, she says softly. And let's fucking bury Orion Vale for good. Chapter 11, Operation Black Halo. Ashwari stands in the middle of the warehouse they commandeered as a temporary command center, concrete sweating with cold, monitors humming like restless insects, maps taped to the walls like battle hymns. Her team forms a loose circle around her, each one holding a piece of the coming war. And she knows one thing with bone-deep certainty. Kick the front door and they'll die before they hit the floor. Orion's fortress isn't a simple base. It's a machine with teeth. Thermal grids that catch a lizard breathing on the ridge 3 kilometers out. Drone patrols with facial recognition keyed to their old team. Sound traps. Motion nets. EM disruptors that fry comms before you scream. Laser webs that cut through bone. And the enhanced recruits, fast, feral, merciless. This isn't just dangerous. It's damn near suicide. Which means they have to outthink a monster who taught them every move they know. Ash rubs a hand down her face. Her voice is low but steady, the kind of calm that makes storms bow their heads. Okay, we don't hit the door. We don't touch the perimeter. We rewrite the battlefield. Cross rolls his chair forward, eyes flickering with neon reflections like a digital devil. I can crack the outer firewall, he says. But he's running a Hydra system, kill 1 node, 2 grow back. I'll need physical access to break it. Ash nods. Then we make him blind first. Naira steps closer, tapping the map with a gloved finger. There's a ridge overlooking the fortress. Wind is brutal, but if anyone can make the long shot, it's me. You need me to clip the thermal towers. Ash's lips twitch. Clean, precise, and silent. We need 4 seconds of blindness. 4 seconds, Jesus, Naira repeats. That's tight. It's all we'll get. Next, Harlan cracks his knuckles like thunder having an opinion. 4 seconds is enough if we plant blackout capsules under the perimeter wall. Silent charges. No boom. Just dead circuits. Ash looks at him. You still have those? He smirks. Please, Ash. You think I stopped building toys after you vanished? Suri steps into the conversation, her presence quiet and razor-sharp. We'll need to avoid the enhanced recruits. They'll smell us before they see us. Ash's jaw clenches. I know. That's why we don't fight them. The air goes still. We sedate them. Harlan blinks. What, like, out cold, night-night? Ash shakes her head. No. Controlled paralysis. 45 seconds. Enough to slip past without causing casualties. Suri tilts her head. Ethical approach. I like it. You're thinking like someone who cares who dies. Ash doesn't deny it. She just murmurs. I'm not losing anyone else. Then Cross brings up the hardest truth. And Orion? You can't sedate him. Enhanced or not, he'll chew through anything except. Ash finishes for him. His own arrogance. They all stare at her. She continues. He'll want to see me. Talk. Gloat. Prove he made me. Her voice drops to a whisper that hurts. He'll bring Alessandra into that room. She's leverage. Bait. Proof he still owns my shadow. Naira's eyes flicker with sympathy she rarely shows. So, we use that. Ash nods slowly. We let him think he's pulling me in. Harlan whistles. Girl, you're volunteering to walk into the lion's mouth. Ash's gaze hardens into something diamond-sharp. I'm not walking. I'm baiting the lion to open wide. A beat. And then we rip his damn throat out. The team falls into a rhythm then swift, synchronized, like falling back into an old dance. Cross programs the pulse virus. Naira calibrates her rifle to withstand the insane wind pattern. Harlan lays out the silent charges like a surgeon preparing instruments. Suri maps the guard rotations by heartbeat and shadow. Ashwari memorizes every path between Alessandra and death. Hours pass like minutes. Dawn stains the sky in blood orange, poetic and cruel. Ash stands before them, the plan sealed in her bones. Tonight, she says, we hunt a ghost. Naira smirks. Harlan growls. Cross cracks his knuckles. Suri whispers a prayer in a language older than violence. And we bring Alessandra home, Ash finishes, voice soft as a promise and sharp as a blade. Chapter 12, The Quiet Before the Breach. Night presses down like a velvet shroud as Ashwari crouches on the ridge overlooking the fortress. The wind cuts across the mountain like a serrated blade, cold enough to carve through bone. Below, a cathedral of steel, neon veins crawling across its walls, drones humming lazy circles like vultures waiting for a body to drop. This isn't a base. It's an apex predator. And Ash is about to slide a knife between its ribs. 0:14, 0 hour minus 3 minutes. Naira lies belly flat at the far edge of the ridge, rifle anchored against the terrain. The scope gleams faintly, a single star trapped in metal. Wind's brutal tonight, she murmurs into the calm. Ash smiles faintly. You complaining? Never. Just flirting with physics. Her voice is dry, but Ash hears the adrenaline curled beneath it. The kind that wakes old instincts and makes ghosts remember they once had a pulse. Cross's voice crackles in her earpiece next. Firewall's twitchy. Hydra nodes cycling faster than predicted. When Naira pops the thermal towers, I'll have maybe 7 seconds before the system compensates. 7's generous, Ash says. Let's call it 4 to avoid dying. For it is. Cross gulps. Jesus, Ash. You're terrifying. I'm adorable, Ash deadpants. Even Naira huffs out a laugh. 0:17, 0 hour minus 1 minute. Harlan and Suri move like shadows along the trench line, placing the silent charges with the precision of surgeons. Their breathing controlled. Their steps weightless. Harlan whispers, position set. Suri adds, perimeter guards shifting north. We have a 15-second blind rotation. Ash closes her eyes for a beat. Every piece of the chessboard is sliding into place. And somewhere deep inside that fortress, Alessandra sits on a cold floor, waiting for a rescue she doesn't know is coming. Alive or dying? Ash can't be certain. It feels like someone is twisting her ribs into knots. 018, 0 hour. Ash, Naira breathes. Say the word. The world tightens. Ash inhales slowly, the cold burning her lungs. Mark. Naira pulls the trigger. A whisper, not a bang. A breath leaving metal. The bullet arcs into the screaming wind, curves like it's dancing with fate, and kisses the thermal tower's sensor. The tower's lights flicker. Second shot, another sensor dies. Third. Fourth. The entire thermal grid stutters like a beast blinking awake too late. Cross unleashes the virus at the exact millisecond the fortress goes blind. His fingers fly over the keypad so fast they're almost a blur. 3 seconds, 2, Ash move. Ash dives from the ridge, sliding down the gravel in a controlled fall. Boots hit earth. She sprints low, fast, silent, a ghost tearing through the dark. Harlan triggers the silent charges. A hush. A faint pulse of blue. Then the entire northern quadrant of the fortress flickers out like someone pinched its throat. No alarms. No sirens. Just the sudden death of tech. Suri murmurs, perimeters blind. Guards confused. 30 seconds. Ash slips through the breach in the wall like smoke, heart pounding sharp and fast. Inside the fortress. Dark corridors stretch ahead. Red emergency lights pulse faintly, bathing the metal in arterial glow. Voices echo from a deeper level, brisk, irritated. System glitching again. Check the Hydra mains. Where's Sector 3 feed? Ash ignores them. Her focus is a single invisible line pulling her forward. Alessandra. She moves with surgical grace, avoiding each camera cross disables for mere seconds at a time. Suri feeds her guard rotations in her ear, whisper soft. 2 approaching from your left. Wait, now. Ash holds her breath behind a pillar. Boots pass. She moves again. The adrenaline tastes like iron on her tongue. 021, the first guardian. She turns a corner and stops dead. An enhanced recruit stands in the center of the hallway, taller than her, eyes dilated and shimmering with that unnatural chemical sheen. He sniffs the air. Montgomery. Her blood freezes. They trained them to smell adrenaline, fear, sweat signatures. But they trained her first. She slides a dart between her fingers, flicks her wrist, and sends it flying. The needle sinks into his neck. He charges anyway. 2 steps. 3. Then collapses, twitching but alive. Suri whispers, nice throw. Ash presses a shaky hand to her ribs. 1 down. 30 more. 023, the lower levels. Cross's voice hisses through the calm. Ash. I found her. Her heart stops. She's 8 levels down. Central chamber. But Ash, she's not alone. Ash's throat tightens. Is she alive? Yes. But Orion, he's with her. The world tilts. She forces her voice steady. Send the blueprints. Cross uploads them. Ash studies every line, every corner, every vent, every stairwell. A cold calm settles over her, the kind that comes before a storm decides who walks away. Team, she says quietly. Phase 2 starts now. Chapter 13, The Chamber of Wolves. The lower levels breathe differently. The air is stale, metallic, humming with electricity and cruelty. Ash moves down the spiral corridor, pressed against concrete so cold it bites her shoulder blades. Each step takes her deeper into a place she once swore she'd never see again. The old training grounds. Rebuilt. Evolved. Corrupted. The floor vibrates faintly beneath her boots, distant machinery grinding like teeth. Cross whispers in her ear, Ash, this is bad. The central chamber is running at triple power. He's doing something in there. I know. Her voice is low, steady, razor-edged. Naira cuts in, just give us the signal. No, Ash says. This part. I walk alone. Silence. Waited. Knowing. They trust her enough not to argue. 027, the gauntlet. Ash reaches a hallway filled with vertical black glass. Mirrors, but not mirrors, surveillance walls. motion sensors embedded like tiny, watching insects. She breathes out slowly. Cross. Ready? He inhales sharply, triggering the static pulse. Now. A burst of white noise chokes the sensors. The reflections flicker. For 3 precious seconds, the walls stop watching. Ash darts through, swift as blood sliding off a blade. She clears the corridor right as the sensors snap back to life. 1 heartbeat later, and she would have been fried. 029, the painted door. She reaches it. A heavy metal door, matte black, symbol etched into it. A wolf skull split down the middle. The mark of Orion Valek, the ghost she killed, the monster she buried, the man who once trained beside her until ambition rotted him from the inside out. Except he's not dead. Not anymore. Cross whispers, heat readings show 1 sitting figure, and 1 human body, restrained. Her pulse spikes. Just say it. Cross hesitates. Ash. Alessandra's alive. I can see her breathing. Relief hits her so hard she almost drops to her knees. But then. And Orion. He's sitting right in front of her. Waiting. Ash steadies herself. Her hand closes around the door handle. This ends tonight. She pushes. The central chamber. The door groans open. Cold blue lights wash the room, casting everything in sharp edges and cruel shadows. Alessandra sits tied to a metal chair, wrists cuffed, ankles shackled, hair matted to one side of her face. Her suit jacket is gone. Her bottom lip is cracked, stained with a smear of dried blood. But her eyes are burning. Alive. Defiant. Unbroken. Ash's breath fractures in her chest. Then she sees him. Orion Valek. Tall. Lean. Coiled muscle under a tactical suit. Dark hair tied back. Those unsettling gray eyes, the ones that used to mirror her own ruthlessness, now gleam with something unhinged. He sits casually on a table, legs crossed, a knife spinning between his fingers. He smiles. Montgomery, took you long enough. Ash steps inside, closing the door behind her. It's rude to keep a ghost waiting, she replies, voice cold enough to frost steel. Alessandra exhales shakily. Ash, don't. Orion's grin widens. Oh, she will. She always plays hero when it's personal. Ash doesn't break eye contact. You're using kids. Enhancements. Brainwashing them into killers. They volunteered, Orion shrugs. Some gifts are wasted on the weak. Ash's jaw clenches. You build all this to get to me? He gestures lazily to Alessandra. To get her. You left the life, Montgomery, but you didn't leave your tells. You protected her. You cared. And caring. He leans forward, smile sharp. Caring is the slowest, sweetest death of all. Ash's blood runs hot. You're going to release her. He laughs. Full. Cruel. Unhinged. Oh no. You're going to watch her die. Like I watched you destroy everything I built. Poetic, isn't it? Ash slips her knife free without lifting her hand. And then what? Kill me. Orion flicks his wrist. From the shadows behind him, 3 enhanced recruits step forward, taller, stronger, eyes glowing with that chemical madness. Orion tilts his head. No, Ashwary. I'm going to break you. Then. I'm going to make you watch what it feels like. Alessandra pulls against her restraints, voice cracking. Ash, run. But Ash steps forward. Let her go, she says, lethal calm settling in her bones. Or I burn your entire operation to the ground. Orion laughs softly. I knew you'd come back to me. I didn't, she says. Then her eyes sharpen, burning with something feral. I came back to end you. The room goes still. The recruits tense. Orion rises. Alessandra sucks in a breath. And Ash. Ash flicks off her calm. Cuts herself from her team. Stands alone in the lion's den. And smiles, just a hint. Let's dance. Chapter 13, The First Cut of War. Silence shivers through the chamber. The recruits twitch with chemical tension, their muscles pulsing under synthetic veins. Orion tilts his head, studying Ash like she's a riddle carved in bone. Then, a sound like a gunshot cracks the air. Ash moves. Not fast. Faster than fast. Like she steps out of her own skin and lets instinct wear her body for a moment. She grabs the first recruit by the wrist, twists, shatters the joint, and uses his own momentum to throw him into the concrete wall hard enough that dust spills down like snow. The second lunges with a feral growl, knife raised high. Ash ducks, sweeping low. Her blade flashes. A single slice along his thigh, not to kill, but to cut power. His leg buckles. He crashes down. The third comes from behind, enhanced speed making his footsteps ghost silent. But Ash doesn't need sound. She feels the shift of air. Tilts her head. Lets his strike pass an inch from her cheek. Then, elbow, jaw, collapse. 3 bodies hit the floor within 6 seconds. Orion claps slowly. My prodigies, he sighs, are disappointing me. Ash stands over them, chest rising steadily, knife dripping a single bead of blood that falls like a ticking clock. I trained you better. You did, he agrees. And that is why this is poetic. He steps back, presses something on his wrist, and the chamber trembles. Ash shifts her stance. Alessandra's breath snags. Metal shutters slam down over every door, including the one Ash entered. The air vents shut. The blue lights dim to a colder, meaner shade. Orion smirks. You think I walk into a reunion unprepared? He presses another command, and the recruits on the floor convulse. Their eyes blaze brighter, neon veins crackling under their skin. Ash curses under her breath. They're overdosing them. Oh no, Orion says sweetly. I'm upgrading them. The first recruit, arm still broken, forces his bone back into place with a scream that isn't human. The second pushes himself up on a ruined leg that shouldn't bear weight. The third's pupils blow wide, too wide, as if sanity just walked out and locked the door behind it. Alessandra jerks against her restraints, her voice tearing. Ash! Stop, don't fight them, please. But Ash doesn't answer. Her eyes lock on Orion. You're killing them. I'm liberating them. You're a monster. And you're still pretending you're not. He gestures to the recruits, now rising like puppets pulled by agony. Shall we see what your mercy is worth? The chamber hums. The lights flicker. The recruits sprint at her with inhuman speed. Ash doesn't run. Doesn't hide. She steps toward them. And the dance truly begins. Chapter 14, Blood, Bone and Betrayal. The recruits hit Ash like a hurricane. They're faster now. Faster than anything human. Their movements jagged with chemical insanity, as if their bodies are racing ahead of their souls. Ash slides under the first strike, boots skidding across concrete. Her knife grazes a tendon. Not deep enough to kill, but enough to disrupt. The recruit screams, more animal than man. The second swings a steel baton with bone-breaking force. Ash twists, but the metal kisses her shoulder. Pain blooms, hot and sharp. She grits her teeth. Good. Pain keeps her awake. Pain reminds her why she's here. Alessandra flinches at the impact, her voice cracking. Ash, please don't let them. But Ash has no room to answer. The third recruit leaps from behind, grabbing her throat. His grip iron, fingers trembling with drugged power. Ash slams her elbow back. Once. Twice. A third time that cracks cartilage. He loosens. Just enough. She spins, driving the heel of her palm into his temple. His eyes roll white. He drops. 2 left. Ash draws a breath, chest heaving, sweat sliding down her spine. Orion leans against the table, watching her like she's a magnificent ruin. I missed this, he murmurs. Your ferocity. Your devotion. Tell me, Ash wary, how many people get this version of you? How many get to watch you break yourself open for love? Ash wipes blood from her mouth with her thumb. Just one. Alessandra's breath stutters. Orion's smile fractures jealousy, rage, ego, all twisting together. Then let's take her away. He snaps his fingers. The first recruit, arm broken, veins glowing poison blue, charges with reckless velocity. Ash barely sidesteps, catching his wrist and slamming him into the wall so hard she feels the crack in her teeth. The second goes low, aiming to sweep her legs. Ash leaps. But he catches her ankle. Yanks. She slams down hard, air punched from her lungs. Alessandra cries out. The restraints rattle. Her whole body leans forward as if she could shield Ash with sheer will. Ash coughs once, tasting iron. She rolls just as the baton comes down like a hammer. It shatters the concrete where her skull was a moment ago. She scrambles up, knife flashing, and drives it into the recruit's forearm. Not fatal, but brutal. He screams and drops the baton. Ash kicks it away, but the first recruit grabs her around the waist, lifts her off the ground, crushing her ribs with superhuman strength. Bones threaten, edges strain. Her vision pulses. Alessandra's voice is breaking, begging. Ash, let me help. Orion hushes her with a single finger in the air. Ash gasps for breath, slips her knife into a reverse grip, and drives the handle, not the blade, into the recruit's temple with a savage crack. He drops her. She stumbles, catches herself on one knee, forces air into her lungs. 2 recruits down. Barely. One still twitching, trying to rise again. Orion applauds. Exquisite. But tell me, how long do you think you can keep this up before you break? Before she watches you break. Ash rises slowly, pain flaring in her ribs. Long enough. Not long enough to stop this. He lifts a small device. A detonator? A neural trigger? Something worse. Alessandra goes white. Ash, I know. Ash's eyes widen. The chamber hums. A low vibration rising. A warning. A promise. Orion smiles like the devil finally getting his due. Round 2 begins now. Chapter 15, When Ghosts Come Home. The chamber trembles. Lights flicker. Orion's thumb hovers over the trigger. And Ash knows she's down to bone and instinct. Alessandra screams her name again, raw, desperate. Ashwari, please. But Ash stands her ground, knife raised, breath a rasp of fire. Then, a sound breaks through the bunker. Not a scream. Not a machine. Not the hum of Orion's hell device. A click. A tiny, sharp, beautiful click. Ash's eyes snap up. The overhead lights stutter. And every light in the bunker dies. Total darkness. Orion curses. What? The emergency reds flare on, washing the room in blood-colored glow. Then the second sound comes. A deep, bone-shaking boom from somewhere above the chamber. Dust rains down. Alessandra stiffens. Ash, what was that? Ash exhales once. A slow, shaky breath. And for the first time since entering this hellhole, she smiles. Just slightly. Just enough. They found me. Orion's face fractures with fury. Impossible. I jammed her signal. I cut every exit. Another boom, closer, like the fist of a titan hitting steel. Ash steps forward, knife lowering to her thigh. You cut my comms, she says quietly. You didn't cut theirs. Footsteps echo through the bunker corridors. Silent. Deadly. Coordinated in that way only her old unit could manage. Orion snarls. What unit? She abandoned every. Before he can finish, a shaped charge detonates on the wall behind him. Concrete explodes outward. Smoke floods the chamber. Figures pour through the breach, moving like whispering reapers through red light and dust. Her team. Her ghosts. Her family she'd buried but never forgotten. From above, a whisper of motion. Naira. Silent as smoke, rifle leveled. Eyes that cut through lies, through fog, through the entire room. She had tracked Ash to the bunker, tracing the faintest digital breadcrumbs. Harlan slammed a charge against the far wall, grinning wildly, cackling over the roar of concrete explosions. Boom, baby. Front row seats for chaos. Suri slipped in from the vent, surgical in motion, medkit slung but blades in hand. Ash, don't die on me, she hissed. Each step a promise. She could kill or save with the same hand. Cross's voice crackled in Ash's earpiece, calm, teasing, lethal. I've looped every camera, scrambled the heat sensors, and made your friend the most invisible person in this damn place. Just don't get yourself blown up before I finish my coffee. Ash smiled, just a ghost of one. I didn't think I'd need backup, she murmured, eyes locking on Alessandra. Orion stumbles back, shock cracking his facade. You were scattered, gone. Ash rolls her shoulders, pain screaming through her ribs, but her stance sharpening like she's been reforged. I asked for one thing, she murmurs. They answer in unison. Name the target. Alessandra's breath catches. Because in that moment, Ashwari isn't just a lover or a fighter. She's a commander risen from the grave. Orion's fury curdles into fear. He grabs Alessandra by the collar, dragging her chair, hiding behind her like a shield. Stay back, or she dies. Naira snorts. Try it, sweetheart. See how fast you stop breathing. But Ash lifts a hand, commanding stillness. Her voice drops to a lethal whisper. Alessandra lives. Every recruit lives. Orion Valek does not. Her team shifts. Positions, angles, readiness. Deadly symmetry. Orion presses the trigger device to Alessandra's temple. Come any closer and I. A bullet snaps past his ear. Naira's warning shot. Ash steps forward, eyes burning with a promise older than mercy. Let her go. Orion's breath shakes. The enhanced recruits stagger to their feet again, trembling, twitching, their enhancements overloading. The chamber becomes a powder keg. Ash lifts her chin. Team, she says softly. Round 2 is ours. Chapter 16. The Fall of Orion. The bunker trembles under the weight of chaos. Sparks rain from broken fixtures. Smoke curls like wounded ghosts across the floor. Ashwari stands between Orion and Alessandra, body angled forward, jaw set, eyes sharp as a wolf hunting its last meal. Orion wipes the blood from his lip, the arrogance slipping, replaced by something rawer, uglier. You think loyalty beats evolution? He spits. Those kids were the future. The world bends to the enhanced. Ashwari circles him slowly, knife still steady in her grip. No, she says. The world bends to people who fight for something real. Alessandra's voice, ragged but steel-willed, cuts through the smoke. Ash, finish this. Orion lunges, fast, desperate, enhanced by his own cocktails of madness. But this time, Ash is already moving. Their clash is a blur of violence. Steel on steel. Breath on breath. Old ghosts colliding. He swings wide, she ducks low. He grabs her wrist, she drives her knee into his ribs. He tries to throw her, she uses the momentum, pivots, and slams him into the console behind him. Screens explode. Sparks erupt. Cross mutters in her calm, that's expensive. Keep going. Naira fires a warning shot that grazes Orion's cheek. Ash, drop your head now. Ash ducks. Another shot. The reinforced collar Orion wears shatters, sending him stumbling. Thanks, Ash mutters. Anytime, Naira says. Harlan laughs from the doorway, holding a detonator. Tell me when you want fireworks. Suri is already by Alessandra's side, supporting her, checking her pulse, adjusting her stance so she doesn't collapse. You breathe. I'll worry. Alessandra ignores the pain, eyes locked on Ash. End it, Ashwari. Orion hears her. He turns, just enough. It's all Ash needs. She closes the distance. A blur. A strike to the throat. A slash across his forearm. A knee to the solar plexus. And then, her knife rests against his carotid. Breath hot, cold fury radiating off her like a storm about to break. Orion's voice is hoarse, trembling with the reality clawing at him. You can't kill me. Ash leans in, her words deadly calm. I'm not here to kill you, Orion. Her eyes burn like judgment. I'm here to stop you. And with a twist of her wrist, a pressure point strike, and a brutal takedown, she drops him cold, alive but broken, wrists pinned under her boot. Harlan whoops. Ghost wins. Pay up, Suri. Suri rolls her eyes. Check your account. Naira lowers her rifle with a slow exhale. Clear. Cross. Systems shutting down. Extraction path opening. Move now. Ash steps back, breathing hard, adrenaline still singing in her veins. Alessandra steps toward her, weak but determined, cupping Ash's cheek with trembling fingers. You came for me, she whispers. Ash presses her forehead to hers. Always. Suri cuts in with zero shame. Yes, very romantic, but she's bleeding and you're shaking. We need to move, lovers. Harlan slaps a final charge to the wall. We leave, bunker blows, villain freezes. Let's go. Naira clears a path, cross guides. Suri supports Alessandra. Harlan clears angles. And Ashwari? Ash walks last. Eyes forward. Heart steadier. Knife still dripping with a warning. They disappear into the smoke as the bunker begins to collapse behind them. Orion lies unconscious as concrete falls. The empire he built on fear crumbles. And Alessandra. Alessandra is carried back into the light. Chapter 17. The bunker decides who lives. The alarm hits first. A bass deep WAH that rattles the metal ribs of the bunker. Then the voice, cold and merciless. Self-destruct sequence. T-180 seconds. Ashwari freezes mid-step, Alessandra's weight still half in her arms. He activated it, Ash breathes. Cross's voice erupts in her calm, panicked and furious. Ash, run. He triggered the failsafe the moment he engaged combat mode. That bunker is about to fold like a dying star. Naira, Harlan, move your ass. I'm covering the west corridor. Suri, keep them upright. Harlan, already prepping the exit boom. Move, move, move. Ash looks back. Orion lies limp, collapsed against the broken console, the screen sparking over him like dying fireflies. She didn't know. He set the bunker to die with him in it. A murder-suicide of an entire compound. For a heartbeat, Ash stands in the tremoring chamber, torn between instinct and guilt. Alessandra catches her jaw with trembling fingers. Ash, she gasps, voice raw. Leave him. The ceiling cracks. Concrete dust rains down like gray snow. T-149 seconds. Suri hauls Alessandra up with a medic's authority. If we die here, I'm reviving you both just to kill you myself. Move. Ash nods once, slams the chamber door shut, and runs. The escape begins. Naira is already firing guiding shots down the trembling hallway, marking clear paths through smoke and falling debris. Harlan races ahead, planting small directional charges not to explode, but to collapse wrong tunnels and force the shock wave away from them. Cross is in everyone's ears. Left at the junction, no, right? The left just collapsed, run faster. Ash, don't look back. Ash looks back anyway. The bunker is swallowing itself. Walls warping. Lights stuttering. Air growing hotter as systems overload. And somewhere deep behind them, Orion is still lying there. Crushed under his empire collapsing on him. Swallowed by his own obsession. A ghost finally laid to rest by his own hand. The gauntlet. T-90 seconds. Harlan throws a detonator over his shoulder. One more boom and we're out. Clear the doorway. Boom. A metal wall folds open like a crushed can, revealing a service tunnel. Naira fires once, dropping a collapsing support beam before it can hit Suri and Alessandra. Cross screams. That was flirting with death. Naira, keep moving. Ash slips under the falling beam last, feeling the heat of the exploding corridor whip across her back. T-45 seconds. Their exit slopes upward. A concrete artery leading to a disguised escape hatch. Harlan slaps a charge on the sealed door. Small pop. Small pop. Don't panic if you lose eyebrows. The door blows outward. Cold night air rushes in. They spill out onto the snow-dusted ground, gasping, stumbling, alive. The end of Orion. Ash turns, chest heaving. A low rumble rises under her boots. The earth shivers. Then, the bunker implodes. The entire structure collapses inward, as if swallowed by a black hole made of its own sins. The ground caves, dust erupts into the night sky, and fire roars from beneath as the oxygen ignites. Ash watches the world burn where Orion's legacy once stood. Alessandra leans against Suri, voice hoarse but blazing. He dies under the weight of what he built. Ash's throat tightens. She whispers, more to herself than anyone. Good. The aftermath. Harlan wipes his brow. All right. We lived. Naira owes me $50. Naira snorts. You wish. Suri clasps Ash's shoulder. Let's get her to safety. Cross. I've scrambled every satellite orbiting within 50 clicks. As far as the world is concerned, that bunker never existed. Ash finally turns to Alessandra. Sweat, smoke, blood, but alive. Alessandra lifts her hand to Ash's cheek. You came for me, she whispers again. Ash covers her hand, steady and fierce. Always. Behind them, the last fire flickers out. Orion's shadow ends there, buried under the rubble. And in the cold breath of night, with their team gathered and alive, Ash knows. The war is done. But their story? Their story is just turning its next page. Chapter 18, Recovery and Reckoning. The night air was cold, sharp, carrying the scent of snow and ash. The forest around them was still, silent except for the crackle of a small fire Harlan had lit, a tiny comfort in the wreckage of the world they'd just survived. Ashwari Montgomery sank onto a log, boots muddy, knife still strapped at her side. Her chest rose and fell in slow, controlled breaths, but her mind refused to still. The adrenaline that had carried her through Orion's bunker now hung heavy, like a second skin. Alessandra sat beside her, hands trembling as she dabbed at the dried blood on her lips. Her suit was torn, hair matted, but her eyes were alive, fierce and unbroken. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to exhale fully. Suri moved around them, checking every minor cut, brushing hair from faces, muttering to herself. You two idiots, I swear. One more stunt like that, and I'm turning you both into my permanent patients. Naira perched a little distance away, rifle laid carefully beside her. She was silent, scanning the forest edges, her expression unreadable but calm, like ice settling over fire. Harlan leaned against a tree, legs stretched out, hands behind his head, letting out a long, low whistle. Well, we lived. That's something. Cross was crouched near the fire, fingers running over a portable terminal. I've scrubbed every trace of our presence. No satellites, no cameras, no breadcrumbs. If the world's watching, it's seeing ghosts tonight. Ashwari finally let herself look at Alessandra. The quiet between them was heavy, almost sacred, filled with all the words neither had said during 6 months of chaos, all the battles fought, all the times they'd come close to losing each other. You're alive, Ash murmured. Alessandra's lips quirked into the faintest of smiles. I'm here. And you didn't let him break you. Ash's gaze softened, just a fraction, the armor cracking. I didn't let anyone touch what matters. Not again. Alessandra shifted closer, letting her hand rest over Ash's. No words were needed. The firelight danced over skin, over scars, over a history of danger that had brought them here. Naira's sharp voice cut through the quiet. You two are going to start cuddling by the fire, or are we waiting for the sun to rise before you actually speak to each other? Suri snorted. Leave them be, Naira. Let the ghosts have their peace. Harlan laughed. Peace? In our lives? That's a joke. Cross didn't look up. Enjoy the night. We'll have more chaos tomorrow. Ash rested her head slightly against Alessandra's shoulder. Tomorrow, she said softly, we rebuild. And we stay alive together. Alessandra pressed closer, letting herself melt into the rare moment of calm. Together, she echoed. The fire crackled, sparks rising into the night sky, the forest surrounding them like a protective blanket. For the first time, Ashwari Montgomery allowed herself a deep, unguarded breath. The war was over. Orion's empire was dust. The wolves were together. And in the quiet, for a heartbeat, they could just be. Ash's hand found Alessandra's. Fingers laced, warm, alive. A promise without words. And as the snow whispered against the trees, they let themselves simply exist. Chapter 19, Return and Rebuilding. The city never waited. It never paused. Even after the bunker collapse, the snow melted, the ash cleared, and life demanded its endless, mundane rhythm. Ashwari Montgomery and Alessandra Ciccone returned quietly, slipping through streets unnoticed, ghosts among the living. The team dispersed almost immediately, Naira vanishing into her sniper perches, Harlan melting into construction sites and demolition zones, Suri retreating into clinics that doubled as safe houses, and Cross disappearing into the digital ether. Their work complete, their ghosts returned to the shadows. Alessandra, however, had a storm to face alone. Her cousin, the one who had orchestrated her capture, was waiting. Not with bravado, not with threats, but with the cold arrogance of betrayal wrapped in familial entitlement. Ashwari stayed close, shadowed and silent, letting Alessandra confront the betrayal on her own terms. "You," Alessandra said, voice icy, eyes aflame. "After everything, you thought I'd forgive you? That your loyalty to blood would outweigh your treachery?" The cousin hesitated, just enough for Alessandra to see the guilt, the fear. But no mercy was given. "Not now. Not ever. I underestimated you," the cousin said softly, as if that absolved years of plotting, of endangering her life. Alessandra leaned forward, lips barely moving. "You are forgiven nothing. You are irrelevant. And if you ever cross me again, I won't hesitate." Ashwari's hand found Alessandra's in a subtle squeeze, grounding her, reminding her that she wasn't alone. "Family," Ash said, "doesn't get a free pass for betrayal." The cousin left silenced in reputation, their threat neutralized. Alessandra exhaled slowly, letting herself feel the weight lift. Rebuilding. The rest of the day passed quietly. Alessandra walked through her father's offices, her team now rebuilt, those she could trust, those loyal not to fear or power, but to truth and skill. Ashwari stayed at her side, eyes sharp, heart tethered to Alessandra in ways that words could never capture. Plans were laid carefully. Security increased, protocols rewritten. Networks rebuilt not on intimidation, but on trust, precision, and shared loyalty. And at night, when the city hummed below them, Alessandra finally let herself lean against Ashwari, letting the exhaustion, the adrenaline, the fear, all of it, fall away. "You're staying," she murmured, lips brushing Ash's temple. Ashwari's smile was small, fierce, unyielding. "Who else is going to look after the Mafia Queen?" she murmured, "if not her ghost?" The world outside remained chaotic, uncertain, dangerous, but for now, they had each other. The wolves had returned to their den, their scars visible, but their spirits unbroken. And as Alessandra watched Ash slip into the shadows of the penthouse, knowing the team remained ghosts waiting, she realized they had won more than battles, they had won freedom, survival, and something far rarer, trust. Epilogue: the first morning. Sunlight spills softly through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Alessandra's penthouse, dust motes catching in golden shafts. The city hums far below, unaware of the ghosts who had once ruled its shadows. Ashwari Montgomery leans against the balcony railing, arms folded, her dark eyes scanning the horizon with a predator's focus. But there's no tension now, only a quiet alertness, like a storm waiting just outside its own clouds. Alessandra Ciccone enters, bare feet silent on the hardwood floor, hair cascading over shoulders, eyes still rimmed with the faint traces of yesterday's battles. She doesn't speak, only slips her hand into Ash's. Ash glances down, eyebrow quirked, a smoldering half-smile tugging at her lips. "You're awake," Ash murmurs, voice low and teasing. Alessandra lifts her chin, eyes glinting. "I always am. Especially when I have someone to watch my back." Ash lets the smile deepen, tugging Alessandra gently closer. "And who's going to watch yours if not me? The ghost doesn't retire, you know." Alessandra laughs softly, a sound rare and precious. "Then I guess I'll have to get used to it." They settle together on the balcony, shoulders touching, hands entwined. The city stretches below them, dangerous, chaotic, indifferent, but it no longer touches them. Not here. Not now. Ash rests her head against Alessandra's, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she lets herself simply be. No plans, no enemies, no alarms. Just warmth. Just the steady rhythm of life beside the woman she has chosen to protect. Alessandra presses her forehead to Ash's, whispering, "We survived everything, together." Ashwari hums against her hair, words soft but certain, "Always, together." The sunlight grows stronger, filling the room, catching the faint scars, the soot-stained clothes, the remnants of war. And in that golden calm, both women finally understand something they had fought so hard to earn. They are home, as long as they have each other. The world can wait. For now, it is their morning. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and like this video and follow me for more stories. You are always welcome here, and leave me a comment or a thumbs up, just letting me know if you like the story and would like more, or is there perhaps an idea that you would like to share or let me write for you.